loves, welcome back to my channel and to another video. I am here with something a little bit different. I am going to be taking on a bit of a reading challenge for the rest of the year into next year, and I am so excited about it. So I actually saw this on Cassidy's channel, Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. I'll leave her channel linked down below, but essentially this is a horror book bingo board. I am a total newbie to horror. I don't really read horror that much, but I really wanted to give this a go and see how I get on with it. This has been created by the lovely Sarah from Wicked Reading. I found Sarah's channel through watching Cassidy's video with her horror bingo board. So Sarah has basically created this bingo board, and it's basically inspired by the Reddit R fantasy bingo board, which I've never done before, but I would be keen to maybe do that in the future. But this is a horror themed bingo board. We have several prompts that we have to pick a book for, and you can either do an easy mode, normal mode, or a hard mode, which makes the prompt a little bit more difficult and a bit more specific. So I am not going to try and complete all of the hard mode prompts, but I wanted to at least maybe tick a couple of them off. If any of the books that I've picked out for each prompt fits the hard mode, I will do count that for hard mode. So, but the majority of them will probably be for normal, easy mode. But I am so excited. And while we are on the subject of Halloween, I wanted to share with you the new Daisy and Bee bookmarks for Halloween. If you've never heard of Daisy and Bee, the lovely Steph from Steph Loves and Jade from JDD Reads, this is their bookmark shop. I adore their bookmarks. I've pretty much got all of the collections, and that these are the new ones for Halloween, and I am absolutely obsessed. So we've got this one with coffins and crosses and bats on it, which is absolutely stunning. We've got this one, which I think is my favourite, with little ghosties and pumpkins and bats on it, and they're double-sided as well, which is really cute. And then we've got this one, which is really cool, with some snakes and swords and tarot cards and Ouija board kind of things. Very pretty. And then we've got this more purpley one with skulls and pumpkins, and it's just so pretty. Jade does all the designs, and she always does such a great job. And so I'll leave the link to Steph and Jade's Daisy and Bee Etsy shop in the box down below if you wanted to try and grab yourself some of these bookmarks. I think they still have them available, but I will pop a link down in the box down below for their shop. So without further ado, I have my iPad here with the bingo board. I'll pop a picture of the bingo board up on the screen, and I will talk you through each square on the bingo board. I'm doing it for normal mode or hard mode. And yeah, I'm just really excited to share my TBR. So this is basically running from the 1st of October now, so pretty much from now up until the 30th of September 2025. So we've basically got a whole year to basically complete the horror bingo board. And obviously, if anything, like, I'm a mood reader, so if anything changes that I can use a different book for certain prompts, I will do that. But this is a kind of a set in stone TBR, but if anything changes, I will obviously jig the bingo board around for whatever stuff I read. But I'm so excited. So without further ado, let's get on to the horror bingo board. Okay guys, so I'm going to pop up the horror bingo board that Sarah has made, and I absolutely love this bingo board. It looks amazing. So there are 25 prompts, and you basically have to pick a book that will fill each prompt, and I am really excited for it. So I have all of the information up on my laptop, so if I happen to look in a certain direction, I will obviously be looking at my screen. So to kick off with the first row, we have published in 2024. This is to read a book published in 2024. And for hard mode, you have to read it before the end of 2024. So I will definitely complete this prompt for hard mode for sure. So I also have my graphic with the books that I've picked as well. So if I happen to look at my phone or various places, that's what I'm doing. So for published in 2024, I have decided to go for Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This came out this year. This is a horror, obviously. I think it's set in the 80s. I don't know a lot about it. I think it's set in like 80s Hollywood, and it's about a screenwriter, I think, and he works on a TV show where there are gay characters, I think, and the TV company wants them to kill off the gay characters, and I think he doesn't want to kill them off, and then I think some stuff starts happening. Also, I don't want to know too much about it, but I'm definitely going to read this before the end of 2024. I'm actually hopefully going to get a physical copy of it this weekend when I go book shopping. So I'm really excited for this. I love this cover so much. It looks so fun, and I know Gabby from Gabby Reads read this recently, and I think she really liked it. So that's going to be my first prompt for the horror bingo board. The next prompt is The End Times Are Near, and this is to read a book that is considered apocalyptic, so end of the world kind of stuff. And for hard mode, the book has to include an epilogue. Now, I don't know if this book contains an epilogue, so I don't know if I can count it for hard mode, but I have decided to go for The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This is quite an old kind of horror. I've never read from Paul Tremblay before, but I think this deals with, it's a gay couple, I think, and they are in a cabin with their young daughter, and these guys, this group of people, start to show up and take them hostage, I think, and they're basically here to stop the end of the world, and I think it gets a little bit crazy. I don't know anything about it, but I'm really excited to give this one a try. I know that this one is quite a popular one, and I don't read a lot of apocalyptic, I've never really read apocalyptic horror before, so I think this could be a good place to start. But obviously, if anyone's got any recommendations for any of the prompts, do leave them in the comments down below. But this is what I'm going to go for The End Times Are Near, apocalyptic. So that's what I'm going to count for that prompt. Next up, we have This is Halloween prompt. And for this one, you have to read a book that takes place or around Halloween. And for hard mode, trick-or-treating has to be mentioned. Now, I actually don't have anything that I can count for this prompt. So you can have one free space on the board, so I think for this one I'm going to use it for a free space, I think, because I don't own any horror books that are set around Halloween or have trick-or-treating in them. I don't know, but obviously if any of you guys have any recommendations, do drop them in the comments down below. But for my bingo board, I'm going to have that as a free space, so whatever horror book I read during the year, I'll pop in for that prompt, so I think that'll be a bit easier for me. Our next prompt is to have blood on the cover. So for this one, you have to read a book that features blood imagery on the cover of the edition you're reading. And for hard mode, it is very recognisable blood and more than just a couple of drops. So for this one, I've decided to go for a new release that hasn't quite come out yet. I think it's coming out in January next year, but it is Grady Hendrix's new book, which is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I'm obsessed with this cover, and it's definitely got a lot more of this couple of blood splatters on the cover, so I'll be able to count it for hard mode. And I don't know the full, also I don't want to know the full synopsis, but I think this one follows, it's about a 15-year-old girl called Farron, and it's set in 1970. They call them wayward girls, loose girls, girls who grow up too fast, and they're sent to Wellwood Home in St. Augustine, Florida, where unwed mothers are hidden by their families to have their babies in secret, give them up for adoption, and most of all, forget any of it ever happened. So that's quite interesting. And I'm assuming it's witchy. It mentions about the occult and witchcraft. In Witchcraft and for Wayward Girls, the author of How to Sell Haunted House and Final Girl Support Group delivers another searing, completely original novel and further cements his status as the horror master. So Grady Hendrix is definitely one of my favourite authors. I've read most of his books and given them 4 and 5 stars, so I'm really excited for this one. But if I don't manage to get to that one, I will probably pick up So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. This is one of her new releases as well, which has vampires, and that definitely has a lot more of a couple of drops of blood on the cover, so I'll be able to count that for hard mode too. But I'm really excited for Grady Hendrix's new book, so yeah, I'm just so excited. Our final prompt for the first row on the bingo board is Woods and Wilderness. So this is to read a book that uses woods as the main setting, and for hard mode there are not trees on the cover. Now I can't count this for hard mode unfortunately, but this one is set in the wilderness at a summer camp, and it is Heads Will Roll by Josh Winning. I'm obsessed with this cover. It's honestly, it looks like a VHS tape, and I am absolutely obsessed. So I don't want to know too much about this, but the only thing I know about it, it's set at a summer camp, I believe. Let me get this. Yeah, so I can't count that one for trees on the cover, because it is trees on the cover, unfortunately. So Willow's worst nightmare was being cancelled, but the woods of Camp Castaway might destroy more than her reputation. So I think she's a sitcom star, and I think she ends up getting involved in a scandal, and she ends up having to go away to Camp Castaway, and then I think that there are people that start getting killed off. So it sounds really, really fun. I've never read from Josh Winning before, and I'm just so excited, and I'm obsessed with this cover. So that is the first row of the bingo board done. Okay guys, we're now moving on to the second row of the bingo board, and the first prompt for the second row is Honouring the Classics, a book that is either considered a horror classic or is a reimagining retelling of a classic for normal mode, and for hard mode a classic has to be written before 1950, so I won't be able to get hard mode for this one, and I am actually in the middle of currently reading this one, so I'll be able to tick this one off first, and that is Carrie by Stephen King. This is my first Stephen King, and I think this is the first book that he ever wrote. Yeah, so this is the first book that he ever wrote, so that's really exciting. So I think this is definitely considered a modern classic. So obviously, if you've read Carrie before, we're following Carrie White. She has the gift of telekinesis. She can move things with her mind. To be invited to prom night by Tommy Ross is a dream come true for Carrie. The first steps towards social acceptance by her high school colleagues, but events will take a decidedly macabre turn on that horrifying and endless night as she is forced to exercise her terrible gift on the town that mocks her and loathes her. Stephen King's legendary debut is a timeless classic. This edition is published with a new cover for the 50th anniversary, so I'm in the middle of it now. I'm currently 84 pages in and I am enjoying it. I hate Carrie's mother, but I think you're supposed to. But yeah, this is definitely considered a classic, but I won't be able to get hard mode for this one. But yeah, Carrie I'm going to be counting for the classics prompt. Okay guys, so for our next prompt we have translated work, a book that is translated from the author's native language, and hard mode, the book also features a translator's note. Now I don't know if this book will have a translator note, because I did have down The Ghost Cat by Alex Howard, but actually when I've read into it I don't think that this book is translated, so I'm going to change it for my bingo board. So I've decided to go for, I have never heard of this book, I've just came across it because it was recommended on the same page as The Ghost Cat. The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mai Mochizuki. Apologies for my pronunciation there, and it's translated by Jessie Kirkwood. I love this cover for this book. It definitely reminds me of When the Coffee Gets Cold, which I haven't read yet actually. I do want to do that. I've never really read translated fiction before, so I think this is maybe a good place for me to start. This isn't a horror, it's more of magical realism with fantasy, so I think this might be a good place for me to start because I've never read a translated fiction book before. So, and you don't necessarily have to read horror for the horror bingo board, you can put down what you want, but Sarah does encourage you to pick up more horror books. So this one is, it says translated from the Japanese bestseller. This charming and magical novel, inspired by the myth of cats returning favours to those who care for them, reminds us that it's never too late to follow our stars. That sounds adorable, and I love this cover. It looks so cute. So yeah, I'm going to put down The Full Moon Coffee Shop for that prompt. Okay guys, for our next prompt we have Cover Pick, a book that interests you because of the cover, and hard mode, base the book completely on the cover with no idea of the synopsis. So I will be able to get hard mode for this one. I saw this on Steph's channel, I think Steph had mentioned it, and the book is How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuey, I think that's how you pronounce it, but this cover, I'm obsessed with it. It looks so cool. So yeah, this cover looks really, really, really cool. And also I'm not going to read the synopsis, I don't want to know anything about it, but I'm assuming maybe haunted movies, I'm not sure, but I'm not obviously going to read the synopsis and get spoiled, but I love this cover. It looks really, really, really cool. It reminds me of the cover for Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, like the movie VHS kind of tape. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for that one. Okay guys, for our next prompt we have Reparade, a book where the themes surrounds death or grief, and for hard mode, death is a personified or otherwise symbolised by a physical being. So for this one I'm going to be putting on the third book in this series, which is Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is part of the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace, so I've read Belladonna and Foxglove and I love both of them. I gave them both 4 stars, and this is the new book that's coming out, or has just come out, but I'm waiting for my Fairy Loot edition to come so I can do a reread of Belladonna and Foxglove, and then I'll be able to to read Wisteria because it's been a little while. But I can't really tell you anything about Wisteria, but we basically follow the main character, Signa, and death has basically surrounded her all her life. Death is an actual character, he's a person, so I'll be able to count it for hard mode. Basically Signa, her guardians that she's with end up always dying around her, and that's kind of really what I remember from it. So once I've done my reread of both Foxglove and Belladonna, I'll be able to read Wisteria, but I'm really excited for the new book in the series. I think this is the final book as well, so I'll be able to wrap up this book series as well, which is really exciting. So yeah, Wisteria I'm going to count for that prompt. Okay guys, and for our last prompt on our second row of the board, we have title has a spooky word. A book where the title features a spooky word, which can be ghost, grave, haunting, death, etc. And for hard mode, the title has 2 or more spooky words. So I won't get hard mode for this one, but I've decided to go for The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kist, I think that's how you pronounce it. I think Steph has read this recently, and there is witches, I think, in this one. It's about a town that's surrounded by this veil, and there are 3 girls. One of them, their sister, I think, is trapped within this veil, and the people inside the veil have changed, they've become different. And I don't know if it's a documentary maker or a podcast maker wants to investigate this town that's surrounded by this veil. But the 3 girls can go in between the veil. And that's kind of all I want to know about it. But I think it's quite a short one as well, so hopefully it shouldn't take me too long to read. So yeah, The Haunting of Velkwood, I'm going to count for that prompt. Okay guys, we're now moving on to the third row of the bingo board, and the first prompt for the third row is Dead Man Walking, which is a book that features reanimated corpses or zombies, and for hard mode the book is part of a series, so I won't get hard mode for this one, but I've decided to go for Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch by Cody Crowley. This is a YA horror slasher, I think, and we're following the main character who ends up getting murdered, and then she ends up waking up, but she has no memory of what happened to her, and I think she ends up going back to the town where she was murdered to try and figure out what actually happened to her. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So reanimated corpses, she basically comes back as a reanimated corpse, so I think it'll count for that prompt. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I love the cover of this one. It looks really, really, really fun. Okay guys, so our next prompt is genre bending, and that is to read a book that combines horror with another genre. So i.e. a horror with fantasy elements, a horror with romance elements, etc. And for hard mode, one of the genres is one that you do not typically read. So I have decided to go for, I do read cozy, but I've never read a cozy horror before. This is my first time, so I think I can count it for this one because it's still horror. It's still horror, but I've decided to go for Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This came out this year, and this is a cozy fantasy with horror. Cozy fantasy with horror. And I think the plot of this one, it's a monster and a monster hunter, and I think it's sapphic as well. There is elements of body horror in here, because I think Jade has read this one. I think she liked it a lot. Gavin has read it as well. I think he quite enjoyed it as well. So I'm really intrigued about this one, and I do love the cover for this one. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm going to count it for that prompt. Next up, we have a 5-star read, a book you gave 5 stars, and for hard mode, you predicted it would be a 5-star. So for this one, I've decided to go for This September House by Carissa Orlando. I'm really excited for this one. This is a haunted house story, and I quite like stuff that's set in a haunted house, like How to Sell Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. That was a 5-star read for me, so I think potentially I might enjoy this one. I know Barb has read this and she really enjoyed it. Steph has read it as well. I think she gave it 4.5 stars. So, and the reviews on Goodreads are really, really good as well. So I think this one could potentially be a 5-star. Obviously, if it's not a 5-star, I'll find something else to fit for that prompt. But I think it's going to be a 5-star, and I'm really, really excited for that one too. Next up, we have BIPOC author, and this is to read a book written by a BIPOC author, and for hard mode, the book is by an author that is new to you, so I will get hard mode for this one. I've decided to go for, this is a new release that's new to me anyway, The Blonde Dies First by Joelle Wellington. Joelle Wellington's BIPOC author, and the main character in the book I think is a black character as well, which is great to see. And this is a YA horror slasher, I believe, and I don't want to know too much about the synopsis, but I'm obsessed with this cover. It's absolutely stunning, so I think I'm going to count it for this one as well. So yeah, I'm really excited for that one too. Okay guys, and for our final prompt on the third row, we have cryptid, which is to read a book that features a cryptid creature. So for example, Mothman, Bigfoot, unicorns, mermaids, anything like that. And for hard mode, the creature is one that you did not know about, or didn't know the lore about the creature. So you've heard of the creature, but you don't know the lore behind it. So for this one, I've decided to go for Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. This has killer mermaids in it. I do know of mermaids, but I don't know like the whole lore behind mermaids, so I can count it for this one, so I'll be able to get hard mode for this one. And Myra Grant, if you don't know, is Shauna Maguire. I think this is her pen name that she uses for writing horror. But yeah, I think this is quite a popular one, so I'm really excited to give this one a try. This is my first time reading a Myra Grant book, so I'm really excited for this one. Okay guys, we're halfway through the bingo board, so we're just about there. So we're on to the fourth row, which our first prompt for the fourth row is title has a number. So a book where the title features a number written out or numerical. And for hard mode, title includes more than one number or has a number plus a quantitative word, midnight, half, inch, etc. So for this one, I've decided to go for the third book in the series, which is Clown in a Cornfields 3, Friendo, the Church of Friendo. So it has a number 3 on the cover, so I'll be able to count it for easy mode. It doesn't have more than one number, so I won't get hard mode for this one. But this is the third book in the Clown in the Cornfields series by Adam Caesar. I love the first two books. Clown in the Cornfields, it's a YA horror slasher where Quinn, young girl, moves to this town of Kettle Springs, and there's the town has a mascot called Friendo the Clown, and someone in a Friendo mask ends up going around killing people, and that's basically the whole book. It's wild, it's really fun. I gave the first two books 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to see what this one's about. This one, the Church of Friendo, I think it has more of a cult kind of vibe as well, so I would be able to count it for the next prompt I'm going to talk about as well, but I'm going to count it for the book with a number prompt. So yeah, I'm really excited to carry on with this series as well. For our next prompt, we have Satanic Panic, a book that features elements of the occult. And for hard mode, a physical item is used in the book that falls under the occult category: tarot cards, Ouija board, talisman, etc. So for this one, I've decided to go for Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is, I don't think it's YA, I think it's adult, but this is a horror that is set within, I don't know if it's a boarding school. It's run by priests, and I think there is elements of the occult in here. There's a man that turns up that's covered in the occult symbols over his body. So I don't know if I could count that for hard mode. I might check with Sarah if the symbols mean something, but I think it's quite... I think Gavin has read this recently. I think he really enjoyed it. I don't want to know too much about the synopsis, but I think there's a lot of religion involved. I think it's set in a boarding school that's run by priests, and I don't know if boys end up getting killed. I don't know. But yeah, I am excited. I'm a little bit nervous to give this one a try because I've never really read anything about like cults or anything before. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Next up, we have Book Club Pick. Read a book that is through a book club, and there's no hard move for this one. So for this one, I've decided to go for Bunny by Mona Wad. This is the book club pick for Steph's Patreon for the month of September and October. Now, I am cheating a little bit because I have previously DNF'd Bunny before. I think I got 50 pages in DNF because I didn't have a clue what was going on. But because it's Steph's Patreon and she does a live show for the book, I'm going to give it another go and read it until the end so I can chat in the live show. But this one, it's set in high school, I believe, about a main character. She ends up getting involved with a clique of really popular girls, and they all call each other Bunny, if I remember correctly. And there's a lot of weird rituals and stuff that they do. I think it ends up getting a little bit haywire, I think. I know Katie Colson, this is one of her favourite books, and I think Steph is planning also to read this as well, and she's a little bit nervous about it too, so I'm sure we're feeling the exact same thing about this. So I don't know if I will love it or I will hate it, but I'm really excited to give it a try anyway. So fingers crossed I do enjoy it, or even if I don't enjoy it, I can say that I've read it. So that's the plan anyway. Okay guys, so for our next prompt we have pink horror, and that is to read a book that has themes of girlhood / womanhood, and hard mode is the book is a debut. Now I've just went on and checked and I think this book is a debut, which I'm really happy with, so I'll be able to count it for hard mode, and that is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I've only read 2 books by Riley Sager before, which was Middle of the Night and The Only One Left, and I think Final Girls is one of his more popular ones, so I'm really excited to give this one a try. And we're following Quincy Carpenter. She went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone, the only survivor of a horror movie scale massacre, and she ends up being part of the club that no one wants to belong to, a group of similar survivors known in the press as the Final Girls. And then I think each of the Final Girls, one of them gets found dead in her bathtub, wrist slit, and Sam the second appears on Quincy's doorstep. And basically the girls are getting picked off, so I don't know how wild this is going to get, but I'm really excited to give this one a try because I've heard really, really good things about it. Okay guys, and for our final prompt on the 4th row, it's multiple POV, a book that has more than one POV. And for hard mode, there is also dual multiple timelines. Now, I don't know if this book has multiple timelines specifically, but I think it has more than one POV. So I've decided to go for another Chris D'Elia book, and that is episode 13. I know Steph has read this recently, and I think she really enjoyed it, but I think it's a documentary film crew that end up going inside this haunted house, I believe, and one of them believes in all like the haunting kind of stuff, and his partner doesn't really believe in all that kind of stuff. So I think we might get both of their POVs potentially. Obviously, if it doesn't count, I'll pick something else, but I've heard good things about this one, and I don't think it's too long either. I think it's quite a short one, so that would be nice to break that up with some short reads. So I'm going to move on to the final row of the bingo board, and yep, I'm just so excited for all these books. Okay guys, we're now on to our final row of the bingo board, and our first prompt is As Seen on the Big Screen, a book that has a film or show adaptation, and hard mode is you haven't seen the film or show. So I'll be able to get hard mode for this one because I've never actually seen the movie for this one, but I'm going to add on another Stephen King, and that is Misery by Stephen King. I know that this is a really popular one, and the film is really popular as well, but I've never read it before. But I do like misery inspired kind of retellings in a sense. I've read a couple of them before and I did really enjoy them. But this one, we're following an author who ends up in an accident. He ends up getting taken in by, I think it's Annie she's called, and he's a writer who writes this really popular series and ends up killing off the main character, and Annie, who is like his #1 fan, isn't too happy about it, and it ends up taking him to this secluded cabin in the woods and looks after him in a sense. And I think it gets a little bit wild and a little bit crazy, but I will be able to get hard mode for this one because I've never actually seen the movie Misery with Kathy Bates in it. I've never actually seen it, but I would maybe be intrigued to watch the movie, but I'm such a scaredy cat with horror movies, I just can't watch them. So I'm going to count it for that prompt. Our next prompt on our final row is Out of Your Comfort Zone, and that is to read a horror book that is a subgenre you don't typically read, and for hard mode, you have read from the author before. I've never read from this author before. I think this author is a debut author to me. I'm a little bit terrified about this one because this one deals with body horror, and I'm a little bit icky about any kind of body horror stuff, so I don't know how this is going to go, but I have heard good things and I think the reviews have been quite positive so far. But the book in question is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I just can't, even with the normal cover, I just can't look at it. It's just horrible. It deals with body horror, and it says on the synopsis here, a brilliantly inventive, subversive novel about a young woman unravelling. Monica Kim's The Eyes Are the Best Part is a story of a family falling apart and trying to find their way back to each other, marking a bold new voice in horror that will leave readers mesmerised and craving more. So I don't know how this is going to go. If you've seen the Evernight edition that Illumicrate did recently, that book is disgusting to look at. It's horrible, but I can kind of see the point of what they were trying to do with it. But yeah, I'm going to have that on my Kindle. I'm going to read that on my Kindle because I do not want a physical copy of that in my bedroom at all, because I can't, just anything with eyes, I just can't do it. But I'm going to be brave. I'm going to try it and see how I get on with it. I think it's quite short as well, so hopefully it should be quite a quick read. I think I'm going to try and get to it probably in the next couple months, just to get it off my shelf. like off my TBR, so at least I've read it and I've tried it. So yeah, that's going to go on my TBR too. Our next prompt is short story collection, and that is to read a short story collection. And for hard mode, the collection features more than 12 stories. I'll be able to get hard mode for this one because I've just went on to double check. I am going to go for The Black Girl Survives this one, which is a short story collection with short horror YA stories written by various authors, so which is really exciting. So celebrating a new generation of best-selling acclaimed black writers, The Black Girl Survives in this one makes space for black girls in horror. 15 chilling and thought-provoking stories place black girls front and centre as heroes and survivors who slay monsters, battle spirits and face down death, prepare to be terrified and left breathless by the pieces in this anthology. So I'm really excited for this one. I'm obsessed with the cover as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I also do have my Kindle Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele, which is another short story anthology collection. I think there are 12 stories in it, I'm not sure, but I can count it for that bingo board as well. But yeah, The Black Girl Survives in this one. I'm really excited for this one. I'm just obsessed with this cover. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay guys, we are now finally at our second last prompt, and that is TBR Vet, and that is to read a book that's been on your TBR for a long time. And for hard mode, a book you've had on your TBR for over 2 years and is the oldest book on your TBR. I think I will be able to get hard mode for this one because I've definitely had this on my TBR for a while, because I've never been able to get a Kindle version of it, but I've been able to get it recently now. And I'm going to go for Dark Waters by Catherine Arden. Honestly, I was thinking of another book in my head. Catherine Arden. This is the third book in the Small Spaces series, which is a middle grade horror series by Catherine Arden. The first book is Small Spaces, where we follow a group of 3 kids who go on a field trip, and there are haunted scarecrows in this cornfield. And there's the Smiling Man, if I remember correctly. He's kind of the main villain that kind of follows these 3 kids throughout each of the books. And in Dark Waters, I think they go on a boat trip with their parents, I think, and something happens to the parents, and there are these monster fish that live in the water, I think. I'm not sure, but I haven't been able to get a Kindle version of this for a while, because I was able to get the first 2 on Kindle, but I couldn't get Dark Waters on my Kindle, but I've now been able to get it now. And also Empty Smiles, which is the final book, which is all about clowns, which I'm a little bit more nervous about because I hate clowns. But Dark Waters I'm going to count for this TBR. Okay guys, and we have finally made it to our last prompt for this bingo board, and that is Creepy Crawlies, and that is to read a book that features creepy crawlies, which can be snakes, bugs, spiders, etc. And for hard mode, there's also imagery of them on the cover, so I will be able to get hard mode for this one. I'm going to go for a short novella by T. Kingfisher, and that is What Feasts at Night, and there are butterflies on the cover on the skull. So I think I'll be able to count it for that one. This is the second book in the Sworn Soldier series. I've read the first book, which was What Moves the Dead, which was a retelling of the fall of the House of Usher. It's like a gothic horror kind of vibe, and I think this one is a bit more paranormal, supernatural, and I don't want to know the synopsis for this one, but there are butterflies on the cover, so they are insects, so I will be able to count it. I don't know if they feature in the book themselves, but I thought that this would be a safer option for me to go for, because I hate bugs or anything on covers. I just can't. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But that is my complete horror bingo board, and I'm just so happy with all these book picks. So yeah, I will wrap up this video, and yeah, I'm just so excited. Okay guys, so that is my complete horror bingo board, and I'm so excited to do this challenge. A big shout out to Sarah for creating this bingo board and setting up this challenge. I am so excited to do it. I will leave a link to Sarah's channel and her announcing video down below. I'll also pop in Cassie's video where I initially saw the challenge, and also Steph from Steph Loves video as well. She's done a horror bingo board too, so if anyone's looking for recommendations, go and check out those lovely ladies' videos out. So do let me know in the comments if you're going to take part in this horror bingo board, and let me know any horror recommendations you have for any of the prompts that you think I would enjoy and be fit for the prompts. I'm really wanting to get into my horror era this year, and I'm so excited. I think this is the perfect thing for me to do. So if you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you all on my next video very, very soon. Bye guys.